Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I have an update from the Ukrainian front. As always, I have an Ukrainian article and a Russian article, and we'll try to have a more complete view on the front using both sides of the story. So let's get on with Ukrainska Pravda, the Ukrainians. So this article comes from Friday, March 10th, 2023. Ukrainian armed forces repel Russian attacks on Bakhmut and Ivankivske. General Staff report. So this is look what's over here. Oh my. All right. Over the past day, the armed forces of Ukraine repelled the attacks of the occupiers on the city of Bakhmut and the village of Ivankivske nearby. The hospitals in occupied Berdyansk are full of wounded soldiers, Russian soldiers. So let's say we're Bakhmut and the village of Ivankivske. So let's go to the Russian map. They have it this way, where you just push on a certain kind of colored bubbles here, and they tell you something like, for instance, the blue bubbles, they tell you Ukrainian shelling. The yellow one is probably a drone was down by the Russians. The black one here, there's like where the when the infantry fights face to face. So here we have Artemovsk, which is actually Bakhmut. And look what changed here. All right, let's see what the Russians are saying. It says that private military company Wagner founder Evgeny Prigozhin said that the assault groups are beginning to move deep into the territory of the Azom metalworking plant. I don't see that name of a little city, little town here, whatever they say, the village probably somewhere around here, but it doesn't go closer than here. But let me get over the map and find it over there. All right, I found the little village here. I looked over. This is Bakhmut right here, and this is Ivanivske right here. So that's on the east side of Bakhmut. So that was about right here. So Ukraine repelled the attacks of the occupiers on the city of Bakhmut and the village of Ivankivske, which is, as I said, right here. So I don't know, they are surrounded all the way down here. The only thing probably going out is this way. All right, let's get going with this one. General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine is the source. Details. During the day, the Air Forces of Defense Forces of Ukraine carried out 5 strikes on clusters of Russian personnel and equipment, as well as 1 strike on the position of occupiers' anti-aircraft missile systems. Units of rocket forces and artillery hit 3 clusters of Russian manpower. Throughout the day, the Russian aggressors carried out 23 airstrikes and 4 missile strikes on the cities of Konstantinivka and Slovyansk in Donetsk Oblast. All right, Slovyansk, let me go back to, I think is right here. Slovyansk should be right here. So here is Slovyansk. This is Bakhmut, Slovyansk. All right, so the Russians did not cease their attempt to enter the administrative border of Donetsk and Luhansk Oblast. The main efforts are focused on conducting offensive operations in Liman, Bakhmut, Avdiivka, Marinka, Shakhtarsk fronts. So they're talking about this area right, not that one, right here. This is Vuhledar, which these guys did not mention, Marinka, Avdiivka, Bakhmut, and if you go up here, Liman, and right here is Liman, which if you push on it, Liman is going to say, forces of the Center Group destroyed Ukraine armed forces, troops, and military equipment in Liman. Okay, let's go back to these guys, to the Ukrainians now. On the Volyn, Polisia, Sivershchnya, and Sloboshchivnya fronts, the situation has not changed significantly. During the day, the Russians carried out mortar and artillery shellings in Chernihiv Oblast, Sumy Oblast, and Kharkiv Oblast. These are this oblast in the north and northeast. So Chernihiv, Sumy, Kharkiv. They just shelled this area. The Russians do not say anything about this. The only thing they say is right here, probably the Ukrainians bombarded something in Belgorod Oblast. Let's see. Belgorod governor said that the Ukraine armed forces shelled the city's outskirts. There were no casualties. An unexploded shell piece pierced the wall of a private house. Additionally, shell fragments cut a fence and smashed windows. Emergency services are carrying out demining. So on the Liman front, Liman, as I said, is right here a little bit. Right here is Liman. Let's put it like this, so you know where it's at, right here. In the Liman front, the Russians are trying to break through the defense of Ukrainian troops. Artillery shelling was recorded, in particular near, and they give us a few, in Kharkiv Oblast, and in Luhansk Oblast and Donetsk Oblast. So they're talking about this area right here. This is Luhansk, Luhansk is right here actually, and this a little bit lower is Donetsk. On the Bakhmut front, the one I just mentioned over there, Artemovsk, the occupiers did not cease their advances. Ukrainian defenders repelled numerous attacks in the areas of the settlements of Ivanivske and Bakhmut, the ones that I just showed right here. Bakhmut, Ivanivske. All right, all this being in Donetsk Oblast. This the settlements of in Oblast in this Donetsk Oblast were shelled. Let's see what the Russians say about that. In Donetsk Oblast. In Donetsk Oblast, they don't really say. They say this Grigorovka, this over here, and maybe this. Let's see what's over there. Russian forces hit a Ukrainian S-300 SAM system using artillery and airstrikes. That's in Donetsk Oblast. And then you got here, actually this is still Oblast, that Donetsk Oblast, forces of the Center Group struck UAF troops and military equipment in the course of active combat operations using artillery strikes. And that's it here. The rest is Zaporozhye. So we're going to move with right here Zaporozhye, and then you're going to go to Kherson Oblast. That's where the Ukrainians are going to move with their update. Not yet. On the Avdiivka, Marinka, and Shakhtarsk fronts, those are the ones lower than Artemovsk, this right here, the last on Donetsk, I'm sorry. The Russians failed to advance in the areas of Kamyanka, Avdiivka, Sieverne Vodyan, Marinka, and Novomika, blah, 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 in Donetsk Oblast. Remember, these are Ukrainian names. And you can look, if you look over the map on the Russian map, they could be different because the Russians call them like Artemovsk versus Bakhmut. Bakhmut Ukrainian, Artemovsk Russian or Soviet, because I think that's how it was called during Soviet times. The settlements of this right here and Vuhledar were shelled. So that they're talking about this area, but the only thing I got is right here. Let's see what happened to this little in the Dnipropetrovsk region. Head of the Dnipropetrovsk Regional Military Administration reported a strike on an energy facility. Go back to the Ukrainians. The Russian occupiers also dropped aerosol grenades of the K-51 type in the area of Sieverne, Vodyan, and Nevelske. Now, on the Zaporozhye and Kherson fronts, the Russians conducted defensive operations. And they give you here in the Zaporozhye Oblast and in Kherson, all these towns here were shelled by the Russians. So let's see here. So the Ukrainians, the Russians hit all this. Let's see what they hit here. Forces of the Vostok group hit UAF units using artillery strike. This is in Gulyayopole. Here, the same thing, and the same forces of the Vostok group hit Ukrainian units using artillery strikes. Let's see in Nikopol. All right, it says that reported damage to facilities. There was no casualties. And here, these blue things are Ukrainians shelling the Russian positions. And in local occupation administrations and houses of culture in the settlements of the temporary occupied territory of Donetsk, Oh, now they just tell us propaganda here. I don't want to do that. Let's go to this one. The Russians continue to suffer losses as a result of attacks on the city of Berdyansk, Zaporozhye Oblast. Local medical facilities are overflowing with wounded Russian soldiers, occupiers. In particular, all female patients were discharged from the gynecological ward, and 30 wounded Russians were admitted. Okay, this is for Western media to say OC. 80 seriously wounded invaders were placed in the surgical and ENT departments. So this is according, let's see the Russians, what they say here. Ukrainian forces fired 6 shells at the village using barrel artillery. The same thing, let's see here. Fired 12 shells at the village using barrel artillery. So this, let's see this inside here. So they say that the Ukraine armed forces shelled the village. Specialists of the mobile social office came under fire. There were no casualties. So that's the whole update on the Ukrainian front in general terms. Not very detailed in, 3 people went here, 5 people did that, or 3 meters here, 5 meters there. But personally, I like it like that, so I can have a macro view on what's going on, which is nothing moves. It seems like they're just on the same positions. Some fighting, some. I'm talking about evolution of or changes. So in Vuhledar, nothing. Avdiivka, not much. Then you have Bakhmut, and Bakhmut over there, the Ukrainians said that these guys shelled the Ivanivsky or whatever that little village was. The Ukrainians said that they are going to work harder to whatever. It's just general stuff. The fact is the Russians are trying, but I don't think they are succeeding doing much. So this is it with this one. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.